Shabbat Shalom. Okay. Is this too loud or am I okay? Too loud? Too loud? I want you to be able to hear me, but not be like, oh. I'm Marcy Siegel, for those of you who don't know me, but I think most of you do. And tonight I'll be leading you in worship together with my husband, Ken, and with Sue Leftwich and Daniel Frankel, who are going to be doing our music for tonight. They coordinated with each other and with me, and we really both hope that you will all sing with us during the music tonight as you feel moved to do so. But we're hoping that we will have a congregation full of song as we sing. The opening, and we will start with a song. We will start with Hine Matov, and that means, the song means how good and pleasant it is that brothers and sisters dwell together. And here we are all together. It's my distinct pleasure to invite up Rachel Kaiser to bless our Shabbat candles, which you can find on page 2. And she won't want me to say this, but this is my daughter. and most of you probably know that too, if you know us. And I may just join her. I did something last week. We were in Santa Fe, New Mexico, Ken and I. And we went to a service there at a Reformed congregation. And the rabbi there did something I really liked, so I'm going to do it as well. We have people here, and many of you may have already lit your candles at home before you came, or you may not have. And also we have people watching on the streaming. So if you are at home streaming, and watching the stream, and you would like to light your candles at this time also, please feel free to do so.
Olam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav Vitzivanu lechad likner Lechadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat. So we are going to continue with Lechadodi, which can be found on page 20. And tonight I have asked Sue if she could add a verse to the ones we typically do. We're going to be singing verses 1, verse 2, which is one we don't typically do, and then verse 9. When we get to verse 9, that's the last verse, we will stand and face the rear of the sanctuary, and that is the spiritual equivalent of welcoming the Sabbath bride into our midst. My understanding of how this started is that it started in Tzfat in Israel, and the families would go out to the fields to welcome the Sabbath into their midst. And that's my understanding of how this custom of standing and facing the Sabbath bride came about. So please join us. Page 20 and 21. Remain standing for the Baruch.
Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yeah, la, 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 la,
Please be seated. We will read together the Ma'ariv Ravim on the bottom of page 30 in English. Together. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the season, and arranges the stars in their heavenly course according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness, darkness from light, transforming day into night, and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name, ever-living God. May you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Amaro Aravim. And Marcy, you're next.
You can stay here. So we are going to read together on the bottom of page 32. Together, please. Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
We continue reading in English at the top of page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mysteries beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
So we're going to continue on page 34 and 35 as we, so I'm going to, we typically say as we rise for the Shema, but I'm going to take this moment to say, and Doug will have heard this at the R&R committee, there are different customs that Jews around the world have with standing or sitting for the Shema. So if you can, I would say, stand or sit, whatever is going to give you a better sense of prayer for yourself. And some people, and I do, cover their eyes to help focus during the Shema. So if you may sit or you may stand, and we will together recite the Shema, the watchword of our people. We will continue chanting the V'ahavta on page 36, and you may be seated if you wish.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinatam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shokbecha u'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kidoshim l'Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
Please be seated if you're not.
So we're singing this, we changed this, but we're here. Yeah.
We continue reading responsively in the bottom of page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory, the earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt, we were delivered at Sinai. We bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let your will be redeemed. Nations will be one in peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. We continue with the Micha Mocha on page 40.
And we're going to be singing, or Sue's going to lead us in the Hashki Venu, which is at the top of page 42. And after that, we will be singing the song about Shabbat, the Vishamru, which is on page 44. we're going to rise together for the congregational tefillah, which begins on page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Koneh HaKol v'Zocher Chastei Avot v'Imahot U'Mevi Geula Livnei B'neihem L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava Melech Hozer U'Moshiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Ezra Sarav Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei Metim Atarav L'Moshiach Mori Hatah Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed Mechayei Metim B'Rachamim Rabim Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Ba'al Geburot Umido Melach Melech Memid Umechayeh Umatzmiya Yeshua B'ne'eman atah hachayot metim Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hametim Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh U'kdoshim b'kol yom yahalelu Selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
You may be seated. We're going to continue responsively at the top of page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh ha-Shabbat. We will continue at the top of page 58. And we're going to start with a couple of lines of the Hebrew and then move to the English we acknowledge in the middle of the page. But please join me for the Hebrew as well if you know it. Modim anachnu lach she'atahu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu elam va'ed sur chayenu magen yishenu Atahu Lador Vador. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives, the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one, whose mercies never end. O compassionate one, whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. We're going to join now in our prayer for peace. We have 2 prayers for peace that we'll be doing, and there are all kinds of peace that we need in this world and in our lives. We need peace. You can think about it for yourself. We need peace in our communities. We need peace in our families. We certainly need peace in our country and around the world. Each one of those kinds of peace is a very important part of our existence. And some we can work at personally, and others I think we can just pray for. In any case, we'll start with Shalom Rav on page 60, and then those thoughts will have a few moments of personal reflection, and after which we will sing Oseh Shalom, which is on page 62.
Shalom
We come now to the Torah service, and I would ask you to rise as we open the ark and take the Torah out. Yes, we're going to be on page 246. In this scroll is the secret of our people's lives from Sinai until now. Together, its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it. Baruch Shenatan Torah le'amo Yisrael b'kidushato. Together with the Shema. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo Gadlu Adonai iti unromama Shemo yachdav. Exalt Adonai with me. Let us extol God's name together. Please be seated. When the Torah is down, you may sit.
I'm going to give a summary of this week's Parsha and expand on it a little bit. This week's Parsha, Pinchas, is just loaded with material. It would be the dream of any B'nai mitzvah child to have for their Torah portion, as opposed to leprosy, for instance, or sacrifices. So the first part, first one I'm going to talk about is that Moses is told by God to take a census. This is not the first census that was taken. In the beginning of Numbers, there's an earlier census. And when you compare the numbers of the different tribes, some of them are quite different and some of them are similar. However, during that interval, there was a plague that's referred to, and perhaps many people passed away during the plague, and we also don't know the time frame between the first census and the second census. I'll come back to that a little bit later. Then there is the portion that talks about the daughters of Zelophehad, and Marcy will be discussing this in detail and in significance a little bit later. Next, Moses climbs Mount Abraham to view the promised land. But Moses will not enter the promised land due to a prior indiscretion. And I'm going to ask a question. I want answers. Do you guys know what that indiscretion was that Moses didn't obey God to the letter? It was in the Sinai. Say it again, please. Okay, so Moses was in the desert. He was told to talk to the stone to bring the rock, to bring forth water. Well, in his indiscretion, he struck the stone to bring forth water. And that slight indiscretion made Moses, like us, imperfect. Because he was imperfect, one of the reasons he was not going to go into the promised land. The next section, which is kind of interesting, in that Joshua is selected by Moses to lead the people into Canaan. And I was thinking about this. Now, the Torah doesn't give us the whole story. My question is, was there about a month time when God instructed Moses to pass on the baton, and Moses had to think about it? Perhaps he had to have multiple advisors to advise him whether passing the baton is the right thing to do? Or was it that Moses was just totally happy? Yeah, I'll pass on the baton. You know, I'm an old man. I'm starting to lose my words. And, I was before the congregation of Israel, and I kind of didn't do a good job when we were debating or something like that. Anyway, I make an analogy there but I didn't talk politics, right? And finally, the holidays are brought up. We're told to do these holidays, including Pesach, Rosh Hashanah, Sukkot, and Simchas Torah. Now, I ask you to go and look at the map that I passed out, that we each took. And I don't know whether you've seen this map before. It's quite an interesting map. And on the right, I wrote down the second census and what the numbers were. Now, God told Moses to give lands to the different tribes based on their population of males 20 years and older. And the purpose of it being 20 years or older is that they wanted the number of fighting people there were, because they were going to cross the Jordan under the leadership of Joshua, and they were going to battle to take this land. It wasn't a gift. It was a battle. And I'm thinking about it, how old does someone in the United States have to be in order to go into the service to go into the service? My understanding is 18, right? Why age 20, I'm thinking? Because probably 18-year-olds are the fittest and probably the best soldiers, I would think, at least have the strength and such. But the question is, do they have the intellectual capacity yet at age 18? I guess in this country they do, but apparently way back when they didn't. The other thing, if you look at some of the different lands, I'm going to give, for an example, the tribe of Benjamin, which includes Jerusalem, if you see that there. It's a relatively small piece of property, and Benjamin's tribe had about 45,000, which was kind of in the middle. And then if we look at Ephraim had significantly less than the Benjamin tribe, but look at the numbers, look at the land mass that they have. So I was thinking, why the difference? And the thought comes to me, and I'm not sure it's true or not, is you got to look at the fertility of that particular land, and you also have to look at your neighbors. If you have the Phoenicians next to you, is that a lovely place to be, or is that kind of a difficult place to be because they're all very warrior-oriented? Similar with the Syrians up there. The issue, though, I've been to Israel 4 times, and I think about the topography and I think about the fertility that I've seen. And I'm thinking at the time of the Torah, it probably was vastly different. It probably was extremely treed. It was probably, climate change has occurred, I think now, I would say, but probably 4,000 years ago, it was a lot different than it is now. So you wonder whether fertility was part of the issue and how the fertility was different. But now I will pass the torch to my wife.
Thank you, dear. Yasher Koach. Ya'amod Avraham v'Shachna. Avraham v'Shachna. No.
Baruch Hu es Adonai HaMavorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMavorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikal Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Notein HaTorah.
The daughters of Zelophehad of the Manasseh family, son of Hefer, son of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, son of Joseph, came forward. They stood before Moses, Eleazar the priest, the chieftains, and the whole assembly at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and they said, "Our father died in the wilderness. He was not one of the faction, Korach's faction, which banded together against Adonai, but died for his own sin, and he has left no sons. Let not our father's name be lost to his clan, just because he had no son. Give us a holding among our father's kinsmen." And Moses brought their case before Adonai.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emed V'chaye Olam Nata B'tochenu. Baruch Ata Adonai Notein HaTorah.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Too many papers. With the Torah in our midst, we are turning our prayer to those who are, and you're supposed to be reading this. Do you want to read? To those who are in need of healing in mind, body, or spirit. And go on with this evening.
We have the list.
Go on. A lot of papers out there, sorry, guys.
Our thoughts now turn to those in our community and families who are ill and in need of healing. We think this evening of Rabbi Bruce Goldwasser, Rabbi Fred Wenger, Lila Wachowski, Len Schultzman, Kelly Moses, David Menachaf, Scott Stewart, Sonia Marie Reimar Miller, Carol Pretnar, Paul Alterman, Anthony Dumas, Lucy Eve Ramos, Geoffrey Cooper, Marina Shapiro, Simon Gannett, Lan Boutin, and Garrett Siegel. As my hand goes around, if anyone has an additional person whose name they'd like to mention, please do so.
like to invite Benjamin Kaiser and Daniel Kaiser up to the reading stand, to the bima, to lead us in our prayers for our country and for Israel.
O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation...
Oh, I'm sorry. Page 258.
O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and respect the many ways that you may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen.
O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the drawing of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen.
Amen. And just in case you couldn't tell, these are two of my grandsons.
Our service continues on page 256. As we return the Torah to the ark, please rise. Please be seated.
So as you've heard, this week's Torah portion, Pinchas, has many meaningful aspects to it. And as I was getting ready and preparing for leading services tonight, it seems I've spoken about this portion in the past. I found something on my computer that said, Shabbat Pinchas, whatever, and I discovered that I led Shabbat Pinchas via Zoom in 2020. And I have the whole outline and the list of slides and who was speaking and who was, so it's a portion, as Ken said, that I like. But I have a question for you. We're full of questions tonight. And you can shout out the answers if you have one or two. How many women do you know that are named in the Torah? Whose names appear in the Torah? David? Rachel, okay, yeah. Any others that anyone can? Sarah? Leah, Rebecca? Miriam? So those are, you've named quite a few. Sue? Deborah? Okay. Anybody else? Eve? Dina? Okay, very good. All right, I'm very impressed with this congregation tonight. This particular portion has 9 named women in just this portion. And I read that, and as I read through the whole portion, I think Ken and I will become experts on this portion because the two of us have read it through and through a number of times. I was really stunned by this, that there were 9 women actually named in this portion. And so much so that I verified with some rabbinic expertise that this is the portion that has the most named women in the one portion. Several of the women who are named are no longer living at this particular point in the Torah. So Yocheved is named. Anybody know who Yocheved was? Moses' mom, and also Aaron's and Miriam's mom. So she was born in Egypt, Yocheved was, to Joseph's son Levi. She was wife to Amram, and Amram was born in Egypt also, I believe. And Yocheved had 3 children, Aaron, Moses, and Miriam. And Miriam is named in this portion as well, so that's 2. The first female named in this portion is not an Israelite. She's a Midianite princess, and her name is in the Torah. Her name is Cosbi. Now, she was killed due to some indiscretions and very poor choices, and she was killed in the previous portion describes that. She could be the subject of a long learning session as well, but she's the third named one. And then there's Sarah. She's the granddaughter of Joseph, the daughter of Asher, and she is considered to still be alive at this point in our history. She grew to be very old, according to the Midrashim that I read about. Of these 4, Yocheved, Miriam, Sarah, and Cosbi, in your naming of women, you did name Miriam. Who are the other 5? Any guesses? The daughters of Zelophehad, who this Torah portion enumerates. So there's 4 plus 5, and even I can do that math, so there are 9 named women. Their names: Mala, Noah, Hogla, Milcah, and Tirzah. They are role models for women's advocacy. And I read the Torah portion, the bit I read in English, told you a little bit about what this is, but I know I read it fast. Why are they models for women's advocacy? They were not afraid to speak up to power in defense of the rights of their deceased father and family inheritance of land. The Torah portion God says to divide the land up between all of the men based on the numbers. But these daughters were descendants of the clan of Manasseh, one of Joseph's sons, Manasseh was, as per the instructions of God. Their father, Zelophehad, had no sons. He had 5 daughters. Sort of like my uncle, who had 4 and really wanted a son. All 5 daughters got up in front of Moses, Eleazar, the chieftains, and the whole assembly to plead their case. This is quite astounding for women to come forward. Can you imagine all these Israelites gathered and these 5 women come up to advocate for themselves, not so much, but for their family and the rights of inheritance. They didn't think it was fair that their family's rights and the name of their father should be lost just because he had no sons. Now Moses then takes their case directly to God. And this is in the Torah. This is a quote of what God says. The plea of Zelophehad's daughters is just. You should give them a hereditary holding among their father's kinsmen. Transfer their father's share to them. And then God goes on and continues to explain that daughters can inherit property if there are no sons, and further explains the succession of property rights. And that's not what I'm going to talk about. These 5 brave women, they weren't afraid to speak truth to power. They provide us with a roadmap of how to advocate for what is right and just. I believe that Mala, Hogla, Tirzah, Noah, and Milcah trusted that their cause was just and proceeded, I think, with the faith that their case would be settled in their favor. I don't know if they expected the case to be taken up to the highest level. They went before Moses in the assembly and all of them, but they didn't know Moses would take it up to God. But how excellent it is for all future generations of women, Jewish and others, that there is an example of women, of daughters, having the rights to inheritance in the Torah. Of course, little did I know when I volunteered to conduct Shabbat worship earlier this spring when I was asked, that current events would evolve as they have in the last especially week. Just as I was sitting down to write this Dvar, it was Sunday afternoon. Now, if you pay any attention to the news, and I suspect the people sitting in this room do, you know what happened on Sunday afternoon. I heard the news about President Biden and his endorsement of Kamala Harris for president. It would seem that advocacy of and for women has come a long way from Hogla, Tirzah, Noah, Milcah, and Mala, who advocated for themselves and their family. Convincing leadership and God of the righteousness of their request. May all of our righteous requests be answered like the daughters of Zelophehad.
At this time, I'd like to invite Daniel Frankel again to join me for our anthem song tonight, called Olam Chesed Yebaneh, which means the world is built with loving kindness. And I invite you to join me as well, join us. And after every phrase, we sing ta-da-da-da-da-da-da. Let's try that. Ta-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'll cue you in other parts of the song. It'll be easy to join in.
It is my pleasure right now to invite up to open our ark for our Aleinu on page 282, David Singer and Doug Boot. And please rise as they open the ark.
Aleinu v'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekedu l'leoser bereshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo
I would like to ask Ricardo Martinez to come up for our a few announcements.
Right. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Ricardo Martinez with some announcements on behalf of the board. Thank you to our usher, MJ, and our security team. Thank you, Marcy and Ken, for helping to lead our services tonight. And thank you, Sue and Daniel, for the beautiful music. Next week is August's first Friday Shabbat. Do you know the rule about the first Friday? Okay, so the first Friday of every month, services start earlier. So services will begin at 6:30. Invite your friends to welcome Shabbat with us on Friday, August 23rd at Shabbatapalooza. This free festival will include bounce houses, bubble making, wine and scotch tasting, food from Texas Roadhouse, and dessert from Kona Ice. We'll have a Kiddush Club service before and a Shabbat service after the main festivities. Visit mycec.org/summer to learn more. If there is a more exciting way to open Shabbat, we've certainly never heard of it. And one more event I want to mention is that there will be an Israeli wine tasting and social on August 10th. My friend will be the sommelier. There's a real sommelier to taste Israeli wine, which I think will be fun, and you'll see me there. For more information on upcoming events, check out our weekly happenings email. And please join us after services for a wonderful oneg. Shabbat Shalom.
So we've come to the time in our service where we remember those who came before us. If I were on the right page, that would be helpful. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, and those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have drawn into our hearts with our own. And tonight, we remember Samuel Simcha Kaplan, grandfather of Rabbi Stephen Bob; Bernard Blumenstein, grandfather of Brian Blumenstein; Esther Friedman, mother of Shyla Lux; Wolf E. Myro, father of Carol Nymark; Sam Lunar, father of Charles Lunar; Bernice Schoenfield, mother of Rick Schoenfield; Frederick Bob, father of Rabbi Stephen Bob; Sylvia Reinhardt, grandmother of Julie Mandrew; Sam Zeitlin, grandfather of Barbara Tischler; Louise Goldman, mother of Lynn Sullivan; Sophie Meyerowitz, grandmother of Carol Nymark; Liza Zunder, aunt of Stephen Kapp; Melvin Farber, father of Neil Farber; Selma Merman, mother of Barry Merman; Isabel Kaiser, mother of Reese Kaiser, grandmother of David Kaiser and Sarah Siegel, great-grandmother of Benjamin and Daniel Kaiser; James Wolfson, husband of Carol Wolfson; Adele Ginsberg, aunt of Lisa Margulis; Anita Kuhner, sister of Joel Bernstein; Ray Colasa, stepfather of Martha Tatiner, step-grandfather of Sophia Tatiner; Joshua Neal Burstein, nephew of Scott and Karen Burstein; and Joan Foreman. And we mourn the recent passing of Elwood Frederick Bryan, brother of Mary Jo Bryan Walski. We also mourn, and I'm going to read their names, the 5 hostages whose bodies were recovered this week by the IDF in Gaza: Maya Gorin, Oren Golden, Tomaz Ahimas, Ravid Katz, and Carol Brodsky. Is there anyone else who would like to say the name of someone before we rise for the Kaddish? So the Kaddish can be found on page 294 as we rise as one community. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah b'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yomechon v'hayeh dekal beit Yisrael ba'galav v'rizmin kari v'imru amen Yehei shmei rabbah memvarach le'olam u'mei almaya v'yitparach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yit hadar, v'yit aleh, v'yit halah, shemei dekudashah barihu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tush banech, dam iran b'yamu, v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
V'imru amen. V'imru amen. V'imru amen. V'imru amen.
Please be seated.